Hey, thanks for stopping by Minnesota Black Robe Regiment channel. Make sure you are subscribed and that you're checking out the bell icon that's down there so that if you are subscribed, you're getting notifications when my videos come up. So, where am I today? I am on location in Rochester, Minnesota. I am just off of the Veterans Memorial Park where I did a video last week, or actually a couple of weeks ago. And today I am at the Freedom Shrine, the Exchange Club Freedom Shrine here in Rochester. So why am I on location at the Freedom Shrine in Rochester? And why is this important? Well, I'm going to flip the camera around here and we're going to take a look at some things. Right? So here at the Freedom Shrine, you're going to see that we have right here on the front of the shrine, we start off with the Constitution of the United States. We also have the Declaration of Independence, that 1776 document that so many people cling to, and rightly so. We have the Bill of Rights as part of the Constitution, but as we flip around over here to this side, we see enshrined on the Freedom Shrine as part of the heritage of freedom here in the United States, this grand constitutional republic, we see that they have the Mayflower Compact transcribed and imprinted onto these nice metal plaques. We also have a conversation that takes place, or an account of the proceedings of Susan B. Anthony's trial. Now, for anybody who wonders, we all know that Susan B. Anthony was, for lack of better terminology, the impetus for the vote or for women's suffrage. However, what a lot of people won't tell you is that Susan B. Anthony was a very strong proponent of protecting unborn life. People don't realize it was an issue then, but she was adamantly opposed to infanticide in the womb. So anyway, so we're going to go on. We're going to take a look a little bit more. We have the Pledge of Allegiance. We're there. We have Jefferson's first inaugural address. So let's the Freedom Shrine. The Freedom Shrine serves to remind us of hundreds of years of contributions behind us, documenting the nation's founding structure, the country's growth along the way, the remarkable speeches of men and women who have molded our society's clay, visionary, eloquent, committed leaders, their historic product here for observers and readers. All right? Wonderful. There's the former mayor, Ardell F. Breedy. We can come around to this side. We are going to see letters from George Washington, the Monroe Doctrine written out, the Emancipation Proclamation, the Gettysburg Address. We have Franklin Roosevelt's Four Freedoms Address to Congress. So let's look at quickly here. What were FDR's Four Freedoms, right? FDR's Four Freedoms, a lot of people aren't familiar with this, but it's something I think more people should. And so I want you guys to understand. Here's what he lays out. The first freedom of speech and expression everywhere in the world. The second freedom of every person to worship God in his own way everywhere in the world. The third freedom from want, which translated into world terms means economic understandings, which will secure to every nation a healthy peacetime life for its inhabitants everywhere in the world. And the fourth is freedom from fear, which translated into world terms means a worldwide reduction of armaments. Now, this is where FDR started to take a turn. Well, FDR never really took a turn. He was always a leftist, right? But we start off with this really good, the freedom of expression, freedom of speech around the world, and the freedom of religion, the freedom of religious practice, okay? We have that. But then he goes into this Marxist mentality. This is an area where our country started to take a shift, okay? I have a dream from Martin Luther King Jr., where we hear him say that he has a dream that someday his children will be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Very important. I just talked about this in a video that I put out on Tuesday, June 2nd. And then we have some other things over here. We have the Instrument of Surrender of Japan, the German Instrument of Surrender. We have a Merry Christmas address from General McCullough, the 101st Airborne Division, the Flying Chickens. We have the Northwest Ordnance. Why is all of this really important? So, like, in memory of servicemen and women who gave their lives for our freedoms, John L. Almond family. So why is this so important? Well, see, Rochester today has become a hotbed of leftist mentality. The mayor is a leftist. The vast majority of the people who are allowed a voice in Rochester are leftist. The city has taken a leftist turn, and one of the things that is happening in the Rochester area is the silencing of dissent. Okay? People don't understand, but it's happening, right? We are seeing in the Rochester area, in the outlying areas, how this Freedom Shrine has lost its meaning. The Freedom Shrine has literally lost its meaning because, unfortunately, elected servants, people in positions of what they term authority, have forgotten that they're not in charge. In the sense of private citizens, they've forgotten that they don't get to dictate to us how we can speak, what we can say, and what the parameters and what the proper forms of speech and thought are. And the reason that this is so troubling is that we have here this Freedom Shrine, right? We have this Freedom Shrine here. We have this bench that marks the sacrifice of servicemen and women all over the United States, but in particular those that have served from the Rochester area and made the ultimate sacrifice for the constitutional republic, and that is to have laid down their lives in defense of the liberties and the advancement of that ideology of the American Republican mindset. There again, not the political party, but the fact that we're a republic. And what we have become is we have, there again, the Rochester area, not just Rochester itself, but this leftist Marxist mentality of it's about the democracy. It's about the masses being, having one voice, one vote, right? Now that sounds foreign. Like, why is TC struggling with that? Well, here's why. Like, we're not a democracy. Our president today tweeted out, co-president Joseph Biden tweeted out that our democracy is under assault and we have to pass these voting rights acts. No, our democracy is not under assault. Our republic is under assault. Our republic is being attacked by people who are trying to dismantle it. And in a conversation that I had with a fellow patriot last night on his YouTube channel, I worked to remind people that these things are important at the local level, right? They're very important at the local level. So cities like Rochester, it influences its region, its entire region. I call it the Rochester bubble, right? But it's not just economic. We have people who live and work in Rochester. We have people that live outside of Rochester and work in Rochester. And what they hear here in the city, what they learn here in the city, they take with them down to their small towns. They take with them down to their little communities. And in that republic, our republic is being whittled away at because people have exchanged the idea that the reality that ideologically the United States is not a democracy It's a republic. And so they take the idea of saving the democracy and they take it back to their little small towns. And what needs to start happening is people in their own communities need to begin to rise up and demand the Republican form of government that this country was founded on. So we can put up all these really nice shrines like the Freedom Shrine there, and I'm back over here at the Veterans Memorial. We could put up these shrines and we can say things like, well, this is a shrine to freedom because the United States is about freedom. And we could put up the text of the speech of FDR where he outlines the 4 freedoms that are promised to man. And in one of those, the freedom of expression. In the other, the freedom to worship. But we've lost that. They've taken those things away from us now. Now, if you say the wrong thing, it's hate speech. But how do you even know what hate speech is? Somebody else gets to define hate speech. So your words could be criminalized. And Rochester has been on the forefront of that for quite some time. And that has now spread down into the smaller communities around it. See, the Freedom Shrine is ultimately, it's not a shrine to freedom. What it has become a marker for a grave. The Freedom Shrine has now become a tombstone for Rochester. We're losing our freedoms. We're losing our liberties. The First Amendment's no longer protected by people in public service. Public servants, elected and appointed, are no longer interested in protecting the liberties ensconced in the Constitution because the American people have been convinced that our liberties are granted to us by the government. But that's not what it is. The God of nature gave us our liberties. The God of the Judeo-Christian mindset, of the Judeo-Christian worldview, God has granted us our liberties. And He has appointed government, especially here in the United States, a government of the people, for the people, by the people, through the Constitution, being the highest authority in the United States. God has appointed government to defend those freedoms at all cost, to defend those liberties at all cost. But what government has done is government has flipped it and has now given people the mentality that somehow government is what has established those rights, and they can take them from us at any time that they so choose, especially if it's in the interest of the public good. And the problem with that is that the American people have gone along with it. So if we go back to the Freedom Shrine and we see that FDR said that there's a right to be free of fear, what do we see now? We see places like here in the People's State of Minnesota, Governor Walz has used fear to justify his unconstitutional power grab through his executive orders during a so-called peacetime emergency. We saw today that co-President Biden said that we need to finally gain back our independence from the coup. I haven't been dependent on the coup, have you? See, it's the fear. So FDR talks about people being free from fear in the Freedom Shrine. But fear is used every day, especially by the Marxist left. They want whites to be afraid of blacks. They want blacks to be afraid of whites. They inculcate us with fear. They teach us to be afraid of hate speech. They teach us to be afraid of people expressing their opinions. And everybody is indoctrinated into right think, into group think. We don't have freedom anymore. Mostly because we have abdicated our responsibility as a government of the people, for the people, by the people. We've abdicated that responsibility and placed it in the hands of appointed and elected servants who have forgotten their place. I guarantee you most of them have never been to the Freedom Shrine. I guarantee you the majority of them haven't sat down and studied the Constitution or even come down here to this Veterans War Memorial and thought about the men who have laid down their lives in sacrifice. We've lost our bearing, my friends. We've forgotten that we are the masters and people in public service are the servants. And we've let them strip us of our republic and have given to us instead a mob rule democracy. And so now, instead of taking strong stands against those things which have so permeated our culture and run so countercultural and so counterintuitive to what our democracy, our republic was founded on, that now we're afraid to stand up and speak out against those things, because it might run afoul of some amorphous, subjective, cultural view. Why is there a freedom shrine? I don't know. I guess it's probably so that people can be reminded that one day we were a free republic. And we have now exchanged that free republic for a mob rule mentality. And we plead to be made free from fear, instead of living as the rugged individualists that this country was intended to house. It's time for people to stand up and realize we're not fighting for a geopolitical, geographical country. We're fighting for our ideology. Thanks for tuning in. And as always, stop worrying about being made safe. Fight for your liberties. And sic semper, tyrannis.